Welcome. You just snuck in. Beautiful. All right. So, welcome everyone to our call tonight. We are looking at, and I've just been in here looking at my thing, how to analyze. Oh my goodness. We have dogs going mental in the background, so I really hope you can't hear them. Here we go. How to analyze stress markers in the AO scan. So this evening, we are going to focus on it being an interactive uh, presentation. I don't want to just be here and being a talking head to you. Okay, so I'll be asking for you to enter things into the chat and to also to look at your own scans. So if oh, we'll get to that in a second. All right, so what we're going to cover, what stress actually looks like in the AO scan, key stress related markers. So we're going to be looking at your inner voice, your vitals, and your comprehensive primarily. We will take a little bit of a look at body systems as well if we have time. Um, this month, the whole of February, we're going to be focusing on stress. So next week, Bronwyn will be looking more into the adrenal side of things and covering off on that. She's going to basically pick up where I leave off. And we also have Dr. Sheila Day on a Saturday morning. I think it's, don't quote me on dates, but I believe it's more towards the middle of the month. Might be the 21st. And then we will have somebody else also covering stress later in the month as well. Okay. So you're going to get bathed in all the stress frequencies and how do we work with them this month. So we're also going to look tonight about how to cross-reference patterns instead of just chasing those single items. We're always talking about, looking for the patterns in the AO scan, how to prioritize stress themes for sessions, and then your live scanning plus interpretation of your own AO scan. So we're going to be covering that tonight. What you will walk away with, confidently be able to identify stress markers in the AO scan reports, understand what different types of stress look like energetically, spot repeating stress patterns across report sections, and select meaningful priorities for balancing, and be able to explain some of these findings to clients. Okay, because I think, if you're working, in fact, let me know in the chat if you are intending to work with people with this, or is it just for personal use that you're using this for? Because that will give me a good idea of, what to look for. And I'm just going to bring the chat up. Beautiful. Yes. Now, Kerry's working with clients. Nancy's working with clients. Fabulous. Bryony's more personal. That's fine. That'll help you too, Bryony. And Ali, yes, with clients. Beautiful. Linda, personal. Good. And Zoe, clients himself. Excellent. All right. That's brilliant. So this will help everyone. I'm not just doing it for clients. However, it will be helpful for that. And Roxanne's more personal. Okay. So let's start with everybody doing a scan. Now, who today already has had done an easy scan? You can just put your hand up. So if you've got that already, you can just run with it. If you do not, please start to run that scan now. And so, yeah, if you even need to put me on silent and be able to run it to do your inner voice and everything, that's fine. But yes, I want you to be able to have access to your inner voice, a recent vitals, and a recent comprehensive. Now, mine's from this morning, and that's completely fine. I didn't run a fresh one for tonight. But yes. All right. So the AO scan sections that we're going to be focusing on tonight that can reveal stress are your vitals and comprehensive. We're also going to have a little look at the chakras and inner voice. If we have time, we'll take a quick peek into body systems, and then I'm going to show you a couple of hacks with the Cephis as well, and how you can be using those to support yourself with the stress as well. So first things first, I wanted to ask, how are we experiencing stress? Because let's start there, right? What shows you that you are in stress? Is it physiological symptoms? Is it your emotional state? Like, tell me in the chat, what is it that you look for to tell you that you're stressed? I can kick it off by saying my sleep is completely out of whack when I am stressed. Tension in your neck and shoulders. Beautiful, Nancy. I love that. Um, Feeling overwhelmed. Okay, so more of the emotional side for you, Leanne. We've got headaches, digestion. Yes, Carrie, me too. Emotional tension in your shoulders. That's from Bryony. Excellent. Increased blood pressure. Okay, Michelle, how do you know your blood pressure is increased? I mean, obviously low mood's easy to tell, but how do you know that? Sleep and tight muscles, exhaustion. Yep. Sleep tension in the body, racing heart, can't concentrate, and overwhelm and shoulder pain. Beautiful. So we've all just given some amazing, that's okay, Sammy, that you're late. Ali's got some shoulder pain as well. That shows her. Okay. I'd love to hear back from you as well. Michelle, yes, I can feel increased heart rate. Okay, and you check it with a blood pressure monitor. Well, you can also check it with your AO scan, can't you? Beautiful. Or at least you'll feel like you can after this. So these are all markers that we have, right? That are stress. So can we see some of these in our AO scan? That is the question. All right. So stress from an energetic perspective can look like nervous system overload, right? So I think we just suggested a few of those in there. Adrenal and hormonal strain. Um, Obviously, maybe not as easy to see. That exhaustion will definitely show you that adrenal. Emotional and trauma residue. Now, we've got a beautiful tool that can show us that emotional stuff going on, don't we? So the inner voice. We've also got inflammatory and immune activation that can show us. Then we've got things like this environmental. So we've got toxicity, we've got nutritional, we've got metabolic burden. Okay. So these are all areas that we can be starting to look into to see personally what's happening with our stress levels, okay, and that for our client as well. All right. So the way that we're going to read stress properly, instead of just asking, is our cortisol high? Okay, because that's where we tend to go, right? It's like, oh, what's happening? Is there cortisol high? What systems are under strain? Where is that regulation breaking down? Which emotional and biochemical themes are repeating? Because one marker gives us some information, but when we have that multiple repeating themes, this is where we can start to take meaningful action and it begins to have that clinical relevance. Do we all agree with that? Yeah, because otherwise we're kind of like spinning tops, right? We're trying all of the things, we're doing all of the things, but not really getting any traction when we're chasing that one reading. Yeah. So this is what we're going to do tonight. We're going to dive into this a little bit more. So if you are working with clients, but for this evening, we are going to answer these questions. These are questions that I like to ask. Now, I do a full client intake with my clients in their initial sessions. However, when I'm following up with them, it might have been a few months since they've seen me or even a year. So I'm still going to ask some of these questions of them, okay? And these are lifestyle factors. So the first one, how are you sleeping? Because what did we all say in the chat? Sleep. Shit. When we're stressed, okay? So I'd love you to all write these down and sleep. Tell me, how are you sleeping? And is it getting to sleep or staying asleep that is your issue if sleep is a problem? So for me right now, I'm waking up multiple times a night and I would say that 1 to 3 a.m. is my waking time, which for me I know is liver. And liver's been a bit of a problem for me systemically, but also right at the moment. Okay, so we can start to look at the different times of the night and cross-reference them with TCM, which is meridian, and to find out with maybe there's a particular meridian that's out of balance. Okay, then we could also cross-reference that in our vital scan. What are you eating? Okay, so what my question usually is, do you prescribe to any particular way of eating? So for me right now, I'm keto, or I'm trying to be keto. Let's put it that way. Which means I'm low carb, high fat, and pretty moderate, like moderate to high protein. Yeah. Okay. Do I avoid any foods? I avoid grain. I know they react with me. What else? I mainly grains, really, and of course at the moment carbs for me. Okay, and sugar. Sugar, I know, particularly at the moment, I've got some hormonal imbalances going on. I'm in that lovely perimenopause. We're talking about peri gifts today. So I know that sugar is not my friend at the moment at all. Okay, so I try to avoid sugar. What do you Okay, is there anything that you particularly react to is another question that I would ask people. Okay. And how well do you do with staying away from those things? And the other thing is there something that you just can't live without food-wise? Because sometimes that will show us that can also give us a little bit of a clue as to what's happening for that person. All right. Everybody okay with those questions? Um, let's dive into the next part, which is about your digestion, really. But we want to know how frequently someone's eliminating. I know it's a horrible question, but it's really important because someone's normal could be once a week, right? So you don't want to ask if they're eliminating normally. You want to say how regularly or how frequently are you going to the bathroom? Okay. I am daily, but I have noticed lately that I'm not great right now, so I do know my digestion is under a bit of stress right now. And if it's daily, how many times a day? Because we could have at the opposite end of the spectrum too, right? Where everything's just going through that person, which isn't great either. All right, so the next one is hydration. Now, around hydration, what are you aiming for daily? Okay, and if it's quite a high amount, are you mineralizing? Because or most often I find in inner voices, hydration coming up. And the people are like, but I drink like 3 liters a day. It's like, yes, but do you mineralize as well? Are you taking minerals to help you keep that hydration in your cells? Yeah. So it's actually getting into the cells. And I do ask people what they aim for because it does vary a lot. And most people are looking around that 2 liters a day. And then is that enough for you? And most people will know whether that is or not. Okay. I'm also hearing a bit about over hydrating at the moment. So, and how that can put a bit of a stress on the liver, on the kidneys. So, I am careful with this question, and I do think people do know where they sit with that. All right. Next one is exercise. Are you regularly exercising? And what are you doing? Because you know what? Depending on where you're at in life, sometimes exercise can be a stress. And then if exercise isn't a stress, sometimes if you're not exercising enough, that's not getting enough of that movement happening for the body. Okay, so these are just clues. Um, Next one is, do you have any external stress in your life? And if you are quite stressed at the moment or whatever, where would you rate yourself on a scale of 1 to 10 with your stress levels? And therefore, what are your energy levels on a scale of 1 to 10? So 10 being bouncing out of bed in the morning, full of beans, or 1 pulling the covers over your head and trying to get back to sleep every single morning. Beautiful. How's everyone going with that? Do we need more time? Can you give me 1 second? Because now I have the children being really noisy. 1 second. Guys, can you go somewhere else? Outside of the thing? I'm talking. I'm on a call. Thank you. Okay. Fighting the dogs, fighting the children. Oh my goodness. All right, next ones. Everyone going okay there? I can't see the chat. Hang on, let's go. Okay, going to sleep, gut tension, eating the wrong things. Yeah, okay, cool. All right, this is good. This is good. Can you see here how we're starting to gain a picture? So this is of yourself, but you can be doing this for clients as well. Right. So those who do work with their clients, are you asking these types of questions before you're running the AO scan? Is that something that you're doing, or is that something that maybe you could improve upon? Just pop that in the chat for me too when you're ready. All right, we're going to move on because otherwise we're going to run out of time. You're doing that, Zoe. Awesome. Excellent. Yes, I have it in my client form and ask too. Fantastic. And do you find when you do that that you get like a better correlation? Does it put you in the right mindset to then go, okay, I'm looking for these clues, when we're going through? Cool. All right, you guys can answer. I will just come back to the chat. It's a little bit hard when I'm doing a presentation, but we'll go. Okay, we just have someone not on mute. How are we going here? Oh, okay, cool. All right. Next is the emotional and inner voice. Okay. So we can pick up things in the inner voice that sometimes people are not aware of, and sometimes we're not even aware of ourselves. Okay. I was going through mine today and I was like, oh, okay, that's interesting, And this is the other thing. Are you looking at your inner voice and your scans? Because I had a bit of a shock to the system the other day where I hadn't been, and I was on with a new client. And I showed her my vitals because I just took her through the inner voice of her own, but then I went to my vitals and it was out of whack big time. And I was like, whoa. And that's then caused me to stop and go, I need to change some things. And I didn't realize there was a supplement that I was taking that was really affecting my liver. So, make sure you're looking at at your scans as well, right? All right. So what this type of things we might see in our inner voice: fight or flight, anxiety, fear, overwhelm, burnout, suppressed emotions, worry, emotional exhaustion. But then the beautiful thing that we also have in our scanner is how that's affecting the physical body, right? So we have those, what is it called? Imbalances and suggestions. So we are going to, let me just see what this is. All right. We're going to have a look at our own. I am going to take you into mine, but I want you to look at yours. So I'm going to tell you what's coming up in mine, but I want you to look at your own. So let's go into inner voice. Okay, so this is mine from today. And we're just going to scan. Okay, so we might have a look for some of those, more stressful kind of emotions. And I can tell you, because I had a quick look at mine before, I was like, geez, I'm being a perfect example today for this call. All right, so coming down here, mine's unacknowledged versus self-validated. So if I'm looking here, anxiety, right? That's a bit of a stressy kind of emotion, isn't it? We've got some fear in there. Yes, that can also be. Look at this hormones, adrenaline. What's going to do when that crashes? That's not great for stress levels, right? If we look over here, I've got in my vitals, there's the spleen. Okay, so spleen's linked to the immune system. So immune markers are a big sign of stress as well. Okay, so I've got my spleen. Then I'm coming down into these imbalances and suggestions. Thyroid, huge marker for stress. Lymphatic and small intestine. So there's that digestion. So I'm just going to look through these and see what keeps showing up. And I'm going to encourage you to do the same thing. So what I want you to do is notice any causes that might be repeating, any vitals that might be repeating or making sense to you around being, linked to stress. And then any in these imbalances, these body systems as well that are repeating and might be linked to stress. So I've got thyroid already. And then I'm looking at what can help me support this. Okay. So then I've got fear versus confident, and I'm coming down. So again, fear. That is a full-on, nervous exhaustion. Yep. That's a bit of stress. Um, all right. So we've got um, a few parasites there. My spleen's come up again. Gastric absorption. That's my digestion, right? Okay, so we come down here. Liver. Liver's always a big one for me anyway. Blood sugar, it's picking up. Kidneys and heart. Okay, all stress related. Coming down here. So we've got some grief, resentment, emotional inertia. Maybe more that emotional inertia, but I can tell you resentment is linked in with liver, right? And sleep. So that also causes stress. And then we've got the bees. Now we burn through our bees when our bodies are under stress. Okay. They're one of the things that help us move through stress gracefully. Having the MTHFR genetic mutation means my body does not process my bees properly. So when I'm seeing bees flagged, I'm knowing that my body's under a little bit more pressure than usual. So again, we've got digestion, we've got the endocrine. I think the endocrine came up before for me as well, so did digestion. All right. And then we come down to this last one for me. We've got some shame, guilt, and rejection. Um, Again, digestion, endocrine. So I'm going to say my big ones are digestion and endocrine because thyroid kind of falls under your endocrine as well, right? Sleep, minerals, uh, and food sensitivities, maybe for me, is probably what I would list down. So, how did you guys go? Have we got some systems that are showing up the most for you? Um, so three systems that are showing up the most. If you want to share this, you can. You do not have to. But if you feel like sharing, you can. Was there an emotional theme? So you could see for me, there was a fair bit of fear in mine. Um, oh, I've got a bit of a typo here. Top two suggestions in inner voice imbalances and suggestions. So I'm going to say for mine is minerals, which I've known needed a bit of attention. Um, and what else did I say? Well, sleep. But I'm working on it. Um, yes, and probably just supporting that. Oh, and I think my bees probably actually need a bit of attention. Are there any surprises that have come up for you guys in that? And are you regularly looking at your inner voices? Because I'm not. I will admit to that. I run it and I listen to my tunes, but I don't always look at it. Okay. Awesome. How's everyone going with that? Let me go into the chat. Oh, how do you go into your report? Karen, sorry, I missed that. All right. Did you get it? Basically, okay, so when you're in here, Karen, you go into inner voice. Oh, that's vitals. Let's not go there yet. Inner voice. And then reports down the bottom. And then you just scroll down. And so if you run an easy scan, you access your inner voice just through the inner voice, that area there. That's a little trick. And you can access your full vitals and your full comprehensive through there as well. Okay, so I'll take you through that in the next little bit. Okay, awesome. Let me see what else we've got going on. Present. All right, is this helping everyone? Any aha moments, any surprises in there? Let's see. Liver, digestion, nervous system coming up for you, Michelle. Yep, digestion, minerals, hydration are a theme. Yeah, Leanne, yep. Um, Parasites. Yes, excellent. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, okay. That makes sense, Bryony. So Bryony's just said that she's also doing an intensive colonic cleanse at the moment and using sight and detox. So yeah. Um, might be disturbing a few things. So I think you mean something else and detox. Yeah. Fear of money came up. Did your accounting earlier today. I had an interesting one come up. I'll show you actually next today as well, which I just giggled at as well because I had a quick look at my vitals as well. Yes, that's funny how that can happen, right? It's so on point. And you know what? Again, this is building a trust muscle in it, right? I love this so much. And that little kick up the butt I got earlier in the week or late last week about, this particular supplement I was taking and what an effect it was having on my liver, I was like, wow, I really need to be looking at my reports more than I am. So it's a good reminder. All right, let's move on. So stress markers and vitals. Look, these are some common ones. I'm just trying to move, sorry, us around so I can see what I'm. Oh my God, it won't go anywhere. Okay, here we go. I don't know if you guys are seeing this, but it's moving all around the screen. Okay. There's pretty much, there are a lot of parts of our body that will show us stress. Okay, so any of our systems really under pressure can be causing internal stress in us. But things that we will look for specifically, cortisol imbalance, adrenaline, noradrenaline activation. So you saw before my adrenaline was already highlighted. Blood sugar dysregulation is a big one. Insulin resistance patterns, thyroid stress, mineral depletion. So you might see some of those markers in there, inflammatory chemistry markers. So it actually says inflammation in our vitals, which is great. Maybe some multiple stress hormones together, blood sugar plus adrenals. So you might look for these things kind of pairing up, right? So this is our next step. Oh, and chakras. Let's have a look at chakras quickly before we jump in, and then so that can show you a little bit of what might be happening for them. So, root, safety, survival, stability. Okay, solar plexus, control, identity, self-worth. But also, if we look at the physical side, which also has that in the scanner, so you can scroll down and it will tell you about the physical. Solar plexus is all about and we're missing one there too, sacral, we're missing. Solar plexus is all about our digestion. So that can be your liver and your stomach and your spleen. right? Sacral, which is missed in here, but that's more about your reproductive, the uterus and your reproductive organs, but also about our creativity and feeling blocked possibly from that perspective. Um, and the root can also be about that, the reproductive as well. So the heart, grief, emotional pain, throat, suppressed expression, also, your thyroid and all of those things around there. The third eye, that can be also your pineal gland. It can be headaches. It can be, all of those things, as well as your mental overwhelm and that type of thing. We're also missing crown. Sorry, people, but yes, crown as well. And that's connection to higher self. And again, that can feel like your headaches and that type of thing as well. So we might want to look for multiple lower chakras flagged, solar plexus plus the root combination, heart chakra could be linked in there with your immune stress, that type of thing as well. All right. So I am going to stop sharing this again, and I want you to take a look at yours as we go once again. So I will show you mine in case you haven't got access to yours, and I'll show you what I'm looking at. Oh, what is going on here? Sorry, I shared the wrong screen. You can see I've got a few on the go at the moment. Uh, that's so weird. Okay, this is all right. I'm just going to share my desktop and hopefully, I really hope I didn't just shut that window down. Yeah, I think I did. Okay, let's go to, sorry, everyone. I think I just shut it completely. Uh, Okay, give me 1 second. You get to see the behind the scenes of what I get up to and how many bloody windows I have open all of the time. So if I come in here and go to my vitals, we can take a look at that. So if you've run an easy scan, you can access your vitals through vitals. Okay, so just go down to enhanced reports, or you can do classic report. If classic is easier for you to look at, then go straight into that. Now, when it comes to food sensitivities, you can drive yourself bonkers. Look at the overview. Okay, so I'm looking here. I've got a few markers in dairy. They're not really things I'm eating at the moment, so I don't have to worry too much about that. But come into fruit and take a look at that, right? What do you think that's telling me? I have got so many, if you're looking at your own, I've got so many markers in fruits. What's that telling me? What would that tell you if you saw that in your own scan? Anyone?
Fruit's not so good for you at the moment.
Yeah, I would say that I have some kind of a problem processing sugars, perhaps, right? Because fruit is predominantly sugar. So fructose, or yeah, any of that kind of stuff that potentially my body is not loving that. And it's interesting because I am low carb and, doing keto at the moment. So fruit's not on my list. However, guess who had a grapefruit last night? So then, and then it turns up today, right? So I love this thing. You just can't make it up. Grains, you can see here, grains, not my friend. I know that. I do keep away from them, which is why they're not really coming up on this side, but I do know that they're not great for me. In terms of everything else is looking okay. I did notice that spices, I'm not really happy either. And, it converted over to not that many sort of going on there, but I might want to be a little bit careful with spices. And interesting, licorice root came up there. Oh no, it's fine. I do have a licorice tea every day. Um, so vegetables, if I was looking for something, cucumber, yay, because I don't like cucumber. There might be, if I was looking for toxic kind of loads and things, maybe nightshades, might look at, histamine things and all of those types of things to dive into. To be perfectly honest, right now, my diet's fairly limited. I'm not eating a lot of vegetables because I'm doing keto, so it's not really a thing for me right now. But you might want to look into that for your client, okay? If you're working with people, that could be an area of stress, but it will likely show up here or in other areas in that inner voice report as well. Okay, so ferritin, I do know that that's a thing for me anyway. So as you're going down, I wouldn't necessarily be looking for stress factors in these bloods, possibly. Chakras, as you can see, mine look pretty good today. The only one was solar plexus. So that might indicate that I've got a little bit of digestive issues going on, which we've already discussed. Or it could be that control and, all of those things that we talked about from the emotional perspective. So that's worth noting. Okay. It did come back into balance, which is great. But yeah, that's something to worth to look at. Now, our meridians are also a great indicator. I
Can I
mentioned that,
interrupt? Can I ask a
yes,
question?
absolutely.
So,
Go for it.
when you're just going through all the foods,
Yes.
I was looking at mine, and sometimes they're nines, and sometimes they're ones.
Yes. Perfect. Good question. Okay. Nine means that it's called potentially. Okay, there's a couple of different scenarios here, Zoe, and what you can look at is what's relevant to you, and this is how you would pose it to your clients as well. Nine can mean it's causing an inflammatory response in the body. It can also mean it's an acute response. Okay, so it could be that it's just a kind of flash in the pan thing. It's not something that's happening all of the time. A one, on the other hand, and a two means that it can be having more of a low energy response. So it's sluggish. It's making you feel a bit sluggish. Um, or number two, it could be that it's more of a chronic thing and a systemic thing that's been going on for a while. Okay, so you do need to put it through a bit of a lens. The other thing with foods is it can mean that you need them. And this is where it starts to get a little confusing and a little tricky. So if I'm working with a client, and it's why I love to use the muscle testing, because I ask, first of all, is it relevant? Is it just something that's happening for today, or is this something that needs to be looked at deeper? Okay, because I'm not going to tell them every single food on the list. Like I said, I looked at my fruit, right? The fruit's just not great for me right now. I'm not going to go through every single line and say, don't eat this, don't eat that. But obviously my body didn't love the grapefruit last night. And fruit in general is not great for me right now. So I'm going to keep away from it, and that's what I'd advise my client as well. And I would look for those other markers with that sugar. And I'm going to show you in just a second where those other markers are coming up for me personally in mine. Okay. Does that make sense to you, Zoe? Is there a particular food in there that's a nine, say, that you think might be causing inflammation or an inflammatory response?
Interestingly, every time I don't do that many scans on myself, or I haven't recently. I just use Inner Voice a lot.
Yes.
Pretty much every time I do a scan, what I've eaten that day or the day before comes up as a nine and one, regardless.
Wow. So to
So
me,
it's
that
like
suggests
all food. It's like, well, no, I don't, that can't be possible.
no, it's not, but it is saying that for whatever reason, your body isn't maybe processing the foods very well. So is digestion a problem for you? Yeah. So,
Yeah. So yeah,
okay.
and that I can understand.
Yeah, 100%. And sometimes it can also be that we've been eating too much of it, right? So it'll just come up and say, hey, just lay off the whatever. Not to say don't ever eat it again or anything like that. So, foods can be a little bit subjective. Um, and again, that's why I love the muscle testing because it's like,
Yeah.
is this even anything I need to bother about? But what I would suggest is if you're seeing it repeat over and over and over again, and to me, if it comes up all of the time, then I would be saying, okay, what's going on deeper? Why is my body saying that this is a problem with every food that I eat?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So for example, today I had coffee. I made cauliflower soup last night. Didn't really eat any last night. Only had one bowl of cauliflower soup, and every ingredients of that soup has come up.
Wow.
And coffee. It's like cauliflower soup.
And if you dive deeper into, you can look at lectins, you can look at, all sorts of
Mm,
different things. If you can see a correlation with some of those ingredients, it's potential that your body isn't processing that particular thing well. So there can be underlying, like it can be lectins, it can be nightshades, it can be, yeah, just that your body doesn't love vegetables, which is a big thing for some
and I
people.
and I had eggs for breakfast, and so eggs are coming up.
Eggs to come out too. Yeah. Any particular part of the egg?
What have we got? Um, yolk
Okay, cool.
as a
So,
one.
yeah. All right. So, how are you feeling overall?
Fine.
Okay, good. Then I would just flow with that. If you started to have some digestive issues and you wanted to maybe track your food and just see, then maybe you could do a bit of an elimination process or whatever. But if you're feeling okay and you don't feel like it's a problem, just
Yeah.
roll with it. But how accurate is the scanner that it's coming
I
up
know.
with all
Well,
these
which is
foods?
actually, which is why I just find it so frustrating because it's like, well, I can't eat anything that I
Yeah.
literally
I
look
would
at
I would be
comes up
looking at
on the
it.
scanner.
Yeah. Personally, I because that doesn't happen for me. I mean, the grapefruit did come up today, but personally, I'd be looking a little bit deeper and seeing whether there's some ways you can be supporting your digestion and just to see if that starts to help. So, digestive enzymes, perhaps, or like without looking at your full chart, I wouldn't know what the suggestions would be, but that would be the process that I would look at. If that's consistently happening, that's definitely showing you there's something going on there. Okay, so down here, okay, for instance, so I did mention to you that my liver has been a little bit sluggish, and that's a one. So that means it's an under energy. I don't know about pericardium so much, but both my conception vessel and governing vessel are a little bit out of whack here too. So one's high and overreactive, and one's a bit low. Now, governing vessel, also conception vessel, is your chi, like your life energy. Now, I can tell you right now, mine has been a little bit low. So, and it's still only come up to a three there, right? So, that makes a bit of sense to me. The governing vessel runs down the spine. My spine's been really great for quite a while now, but it's just playing up this week. So that's really interesting. Material manifestation. Yeah, okay. So first energy current, which develops after conception, serves to govern the development of other meridians, chakras, organs, the rest of the body. So I think for me personally, it's that my back's out a little bit. From that perspective. But it's also about feeling unsupported and, so there's emotional stuff that goes with that as well. Now, gastrointestinal functions. If somebody has flagged that their digestion's not working well, or you've seen it in their inner voice, come into here, have a little look. So you can see here my peristalsis. That's the small intestine and how it moves the food through. Yeah, that small intestine. It's not great. Okay. For me at the moment, we've got some histamines showing up in my inflammation. So that's a marker, okay, a stress marker. Oxidation is oxidative stress. Okay, so these are the areas that you want to take a bit of a look. If you don't know what they mean, click on them. Okay, so this is about being able to fight off invading toxins, kind of important, and might be putting my body under stress. Ghrelin, that's the hormone that tells us when we're full, the satiating hormone. So this is your insulin resistance. You can see here that there's quite a few out, but they all come back into balance. But I could be looking at that, right? My insulin resistance, which is kind of why I'm doing keto. Um, yeah, so these are the areas that you want to take a bit of a look at. You've got blood glucose there, and look at this fructosamine. Okay, so that is linked in with the fruit, and I think there was another one as well that was showing up. So you can see here we've got some amino acids out of balance, which could suggest that my body is not digesting properly as well. Okay, and if you wanted to, you could dive into what they mean and what foods support them. I've done that in the past as well. Digestive acids, enzymes, right? So these two go hand in hand. So you might see that show up in someone's inner voice and the way that they can support themselves. I do take enzymes like I'm pretty onto that. So then we have some of your micro minerals here as well. Again, they could be showing that the body is not absorbing properly. We've got B12, which is a big one for the MTHFR. And as I mentioned before, there was quite a few of the Bs out. So folate is also oh no, that's biotin, actually, sorry. But yeah, they were the things. So when I know my MTHFR is online, I know that my body's under stress, although it hasn't come up in my scan today, which is interesting. Vagal tone, what's that related to? Does everyone know? Vagus nerve, right? As soon as you see anything vagus, that is stress. Okay. So that's something that I would be looking at with the client. And you can see down here, it's the vagus nerve as well. And you can see there's quite a few nerves that are out of balance there, and parasympathetic nervous system function. That's my rest and digest, as is the vagus nerve. So my body is not able to rest and digest, which is the calm state. Okay. So if this was a client, I'd be saying, right, we need to look at some strategies to help you get back into your rest and digest. And you know what? Confession time. For the last 2 days, I haven't done my inner voice. I have done it, but I haven't listened to it because I've not been in my usual routine. I was out of routine, didn't go for my usual walk that I would do. And so that is usually my way to calm down. Okay, that's my stress release. So that is actually very interesting. And I only just realized that because I didn't realize it earlier. And I was like, oh gosh, I'm a little bit out of whack. So I'll be very interested to look at this tomorrow. Okay, but maybe I need a bit more than that as well. Maybe I need to up my B vitamins a bit to help that nervous system regulation. Look here, nervous system again, muscles. My muscles are very sore. I did a 12-kilometer hike yesterday, so I'm not surprised that's being picked up. Parathyroid, that's another stress marker. Okay, so we saw in my inner voice, the endocrine system wasn't very happy. You can see here it's not happy. A lot of it's come back into balance, but you can see the adrenals there, and the pineal body. Okay, so we can see thyroid's looking okay there, but it is the parathyroid is showing up. Okay, so we've got a few hormones here as well. Progesterone, interesting. How's that cortisol looking? Yes, cortisol showed there for me too. Okay. So yeah, it came back into balance, but it flagged. So it's showing it classic stress signs. And then we can come down to there's thyroid again. My thyroid's looking okay in this area. But then we've got toxicities, and I love this area because if you are reacting allergically to something, then your body is not on an even ground. Okay. It's under stress, it's under environmental stress and toxicity. So you can see here, I'm hugely reactive. Now, I'm not necessarily feeling all of that. I don't feel like I'm reacting to a lot of things. I don't have hay fever and that sort of thing, but energetically, my body is reacting to these things. Okay, they're being picked up, so there's a stress there. Bacterial, same deal. There's a few in there, probably not massively amounts, but there's a bit showing up. Fungus, a little bit, not so much. Human toxins, I love these. This is where I go with people, particularly if I'm seeing MTHFR markers, because we do not process our toxins well. Electromagnetic radiation. So this is a clue for me. Okay, I need to be turning off my Wi-Fi at night. I need to be getting away from all of the devices and things. Smoke, smog pollution, as best I can. I need to be getting away from that. We've got stress hormones there as well. We've got metabolic waste. Okay, that's my liver not working and functioning properly. So, how am I supporting myself with that? And these are questions for your client. How can they support themselves? For me, that is upping my activated Bs. Okay, because I'm not obviously it's not working at the moment, and also reducing the stress. Like I said, I had that stress on my liver. So that needs to come back down for my body to find that balance again. And then we've got vaccinations. Now, for me, that's probably just being around people because, and then again, my body not processing those toxins as well as it could be. Um, Heavy metals, and then we've got parasites, huge. And like you, Bryony, I know that I actually need to get into that. So that will give me the prompt to message my homeopath and get onto that. And then we've got a few viruses. So if you're seeing a lot of viruses in that, that means there's susceptibilities there as well. I'm not physically feeling sick in these ways. However, they're having an energetic toll on my body. Okay. So, all right, let's go back to, oh goodness. I've got to log in. I don't even know how to log in. Sorry, guys. Log in. I don't know what happened to my other window. I must have completely. Oh my gosh. I have a new computer and oh, this is weird. Okay. Why won't it let me log in? Password. Let's go. Come on. Any suggestions? Anyone? Home. Oh, maybe I'm already logged in. I am. Okay, great. Awesome. Here we go. Sorry, just bear with me for a second while we get back to where we were. Is this helpful? How's everyone going looking at their own? What have you seen show up? Share with me. Pop it in the chat if you feel like sharing. All right. Okay. Here we go, chat. All right. Kerry had to go. Awesome. Can I tell the difference between low and high? Yes, Nancy, we can have it. Did that help what I said before to Zoe? How can we analyze 1 and 9? Yeah, okay. Hopefully that helped. Okay, awesome. What are you guys? Oops, back. Tell me, and you can unmute if you want to, but which 3 systems showed up the most for you? So if I had to suggest for me, nervous system, massive, right? Digestion, that came up for me as well. And I would say also those nerves. They would probably be my top 3 that I would be looking into. What toxins? For me, you could see there was a lot of those allergy, like the plants and things like that. Um, and chakra as well. I only had that one solar plexus one, so for me, not so much of a problem. But I would probably look to my meridians next, and to see what support. Has this been helpful? Have you seen anything show up in your own? What are you seeing? Any surprises? Adrenals, yeah. Okay. Hydration vagal, yep. For Bryony, pineal gland, estrogen, PMS, lymph bone. Okay, cool. And any of those a surprise, Bryony? Digestive and endocrine for you, Michelle. Excellent. Okay. Any of those a surprise to any of you? Digestion, heart, and pancreas. Okay. And do you all have suggestions in your inner voice? Hormone and emotional crossover. Um, well, we can look at your inner voice and see whether there's any hormonal kind of stuff going on with that as well in your vitals. Yeah. Um, do you all have actions that you can take or suggestions in your inner voice? No, hormones and lymph and digestion. Okay. Okay. Do you know briny vagal tone, like things, different vagal things that you could be doing? Were you aware that your muscles were out of balance? Were you feeling like your muscles were a bit off? Because the other thing can be, we look for the pattern. So make sure that these things are showing up for you over the next couple of days again as well. Um, no problems, Leanne. That's awesome. Um, yeah, so just have a look and just see what you can be supported with, and then go looking. Go looking for those things that you know could support that yourself with them, or pull in, the practitioners that will be able to help you with that. So if I was getting muscular stuff happening, I'm booked in to see my chiro, hopefully tomorrow, actually. I've got to follow up on that. And I want to go and see my Bowen therapist because I already know I'm out of whack, right? So they're the people going to help me with that. Chiro keeps coming up in my scanner at the moment. So does kinesiology. So I also need to do that for myself. All right, we've also got stress markers and comprehensive. I'm going to go through this super quick, but this can look like organ stress, glandular strain, muscle tension patterns. Now, we said that earlier, didn't we? Stress shows up as tension in the shoulders and the neck. Go into your vitals and have a look and see if it's there. Fascia and connective tissue. Now, with the muscle tension, also be aware that sometimes it can be like referral pain, right? So it might actually be your left hip that's playing up, but it's your right shoulder that's showing. Okay. So that's that cross body kind of tension that can show up as well. So just be aware of that because sometimes it won't show up in a scanner. We're like, this scanner doesn't do anything. It doesn't know what it's talking about. And then you look at the opposite and it's like, oh my gosh, that's what it is. I'm actually out in my left hip and my right shoulder is showing the pain. Okay. Fascia and connective tissue strain, spinal or joint stress, inflammation or degeneration signatures. Okay. And we can also see all the organs in there as well, adrenals, liver, all of those things. Okay, awesome. So have a quick look at yours as well. I will also have a quick look at mine and show you. Now, when we're doing comprehensive, again, if you've done your easy scan, it'll be under combined. Okay, and then you go down to your reports. Why is that not showing up? it should be that you can go to your reports and it will come up. And mine is being annoying. So we're not going to show mine tonight because like we're definitely not going to run another one. That is really interesting. Let me try something else. I tried this earlier. Let's try custom. No. Okay. Forget that. Let's go into my easy scan from this morning. And maybe this is an easier way of looking at it from a comprehensive. And nothing. So not today. You're not going to get to see my comprehensive tonight. But what I would expect to see into my comprehensive would be digestion. I actually saw it. It was large intestine that was mainly showing up for me, which was interesting. And I would also expect to see some muscle tension and different things going on in my comprehensive. So have a look at your own. When you're looking at your comprehensive, I wish I could show you that percentage from ideal. If it goes the opposite way, we want it to go down from the previous to the current. We want that percentage to be dropping. If it goes the other way, then you know that, you might need a little bit more attention. Okay. Excellent. All right. I'm aware of the time and I'm getting very close to the end. Okay. Body systems. We are not going to dive into body systems, but I promise you, Bronwyn will cover this next week. That's going to be where she spends most of her time. However, what I will say to you, if you're working with someone and you want to dive deeper, those 3 systems that we flag, don't overwhelm yourself. Choose the top 2 or 3. And then go in and run those. So for me, I'd probably run my hormones, maybe my endocrine system, because that was what was showed up in my digestive system. And then I can see what's going on there. Okay. And I can dive a little bit deeper into emotions because body systems is an awesome, awesome scan, but there's a lot of information in there. Okay. So it's really when you want to dive that bit deeper, but Bronwyn will take you through that, I promise you, next week. So this will be great actually for her. All right. Um, okay, that was just a thing we've already had a bit of a look. So which system appears most often, which items across multiple sections, and what emotional theme is repeating. So we've been building on that all night tonight. Hopefully you've got a really good picture of what's going on for yourself. So then we can start to look at what we want to do with our Cephi. So there's a couple of different ways you can work with this. You work with what's showing up. Okay. So if you've got a couple of nervous system ones that you want to do, you can go into your quantum reach and you've got your peace, calm, and tranquility. Okay. You've got all those beautiful, loving, calming, inner peace, all of those types of ones. You could put a couple of those on. You could go into adrenal or hormone support and add a couple of those if that's what your stress is. If it's sleep, come up with a sleep list, right? If you need liver in there, so my sleep list has liver on it because I know that that's one of my problems, okay? One from the emotional balancing theme, you can put a chakra frequency in there or a couple. So say you had your solar plexus and your root chakra out. For me, it would be solar plexus that I would run with. Then you could scan yourself for a flower essence. Because I don't know about you, but I don't know all the flower essences. I'm not trained properly. I have done a little bit of training in flower essences, but just scan and see if it's relevant. One essential oil, again, scan, see if it's relevant, see what's coming up, and one AO tune frequency. So you could literally just throw on these 5 or 6 frequencies, and that could be it for your client. And when you scan, and it shows up, it's really, really cool. The other thing is I then like to run that through chat and say, why are these frequencies showing up for this person? And it's cool. It's cool what it comes back with. And you can even say from a metaphysical perspective or a physical as well, but physical and metaphysical. So here are a few that I made earlier, girls, for the different, and there might be a boy on here, but I don't think there is. There's no males, but if you're watching the replay. All right, toxic, nutritional, and something else. I can't remember what it was called, but so we've got energetic clearing, intoxication, liver inflammation, auto intoxication, crab apple, green essence, root chakra, chemical detox, metal detox. You do have to be careful with your detox frequencies. You do not want to run them overnight, for instance. You might want to only run that for a couple of hours. But then we've got trace mineral complete and grapefruit. Grapefruit is a theme tonight. Inflammatory and immune system markers, immune support, inflammation, fever of all kinds, skin inflammations, immune support again. Sorry, put that in there twice. It's in two different areas. That's in quantum reach and that's in quantum affirmations. Okay, so we're double whammying it. Fringed violet, mala mala, throat chakra, another immune support graviola, Sora Plus, which is a detox and miasm, and frankincense. Okay, so this is all for inflammation. Adrenal and hormone support, inner peace, shock, trauma, easily depressed, mood support, sweet chestnut, Star of Bethlehem, Sturt Desert Pea, heart chakra, ultimate emotions, lithium plus, and then an inner voice, zone 6. You can take screenshots of these or I can share them later as well if you would like. And then the last one, I can't remember what I called that one, but it's more just your overall stress one. I'm trying to move us around here. Sorry. All right, so stress-free insomnia. So this is sleep as well. Mental irritability. I can't pronounce that one, so I'm not going to say it. Mastering stress, white chestnut, impatience, crown chakra, nerve ease plus, anti-stress support, relax 2, bergamot, and the auto clearing and connecting. So that's all nervous system support. Yeah. Yeah, so it's more of the nervous system support there. All right. So, key takeaway, stress appears as patterns, not single markers. Have we all ticked that box tonight? Yes? Yes. Awesome. Nervous system, adrenals, and emotions. That's often the core stress triad. Did we see that tonight in our own results? I certainly did in mine. Yep. Chakras reveal emotional stress storage, and repeating themes determine your priorities. Awesome. Okay. Q&A. Do we have any questions? I'm actually going to stop the share and get you all lovely faces up on my screen, knowing that we are to time. But if we do have any questions, I'm more than happy to answer. If anyone has any.
I don't have any questions, but that was really, really good. I'm so happy with that. I can't wait to watch the recording.
Okay,
was
great.
so
Yeah,
good.
thank you. Yeah. And Ali, you've been doing it a long time, so that's good. Sometimes it's just good to have that refresher, right? And to
Yeah.
see it from these different angles. But yeah. Has that helped anyone with their confidence in being able to actually work with a client
Yeah,
with it?
definitely.
Yeah. And my advice would be focus on the areas that make sense to you. So do your own research, understand your own self, see how it presents in the scanner, and then like replicate that with your client. And if you don't know something, there were things in there I didn't know. I just keep away from them. If they don't make sense to me, they're not going to make sense to your client either. So just keep away from them. If they want to know more about that, you can say, I'll find out for you. You don't have to be an expert in every little thing, or you can click on those little thing where it explains it. And then it brings it up and says, this isn't explained in here. And you're like, oh, but you can always come back to them. Okay. So, yeah.
One quick question. You said you were going to show us something, a cheat about going into Inner Voice and finding something. When you're on the Easy Scan, you could find your reports by going into Inner Voice or something you're going to
Yeah,
show
sorry.
us.
That just means, it just means, so when you've run an easy scan, your reports will actually appear, except for my comprehensive tonight, apparently. Your reports will appear under Inner Voice, Vitals, and Comprehensive from that easy scan.
Okay, I couldn't see my reports from the Easy Scan for the Inner Voice. I could for all the others. But when I sent the email to myself, it came up in the email, but
Interesting. If you
not
went,
in the Inner Voice section of the actual scan. It just says, I know you click on B3. Okay, you click, that's where you click. Okay, got it.
yes, yes,
So
yes.
it
You go
doesn't come up
into
as a report, you have to click on it to see it.
yes, yes, that's right.
Yeah.
Are you using the new version?
No, I don't know.
Okay.
I'm
All
using
right.
my phone.
If
That's all
you,
I know.
yeah, okay. Yeah, a little bit different. Okay. Any other um Beautiful. Bryony's just put in there what she needs to do to help to support her systems. That's great. And we don't have to be everything to everyone. We can refer people to other people. So, if chiropractic's coming up, suggest the person go and get some body work, if that's not what your forte is, then don't do it. Yeah. So, and then if you don't know something, let them know. Just say, I'm not actually sure about that, but you could go look into it. If you want me to go and look into it, I can go and, help you with it, or, take that to your trusted professional. I don't have to be, I'm not a doctor. We want to preface that. This is not diagnostic, but it is certainly giving us some education around our systems. So beautiful. Thank you all for coming. I'm going to stop the recording now.